What kind of people often get treated with less sympathy? People who aren't that good looking or have low social skills. Dude, what personal attack is this? The irony is that low social skills are often the result of being treated badly for looks. Good-looking people are given more leeway to correct a social gaffe. People missing front teeth. This really sucks too. My husband fell and broke a front tooth a few years ago. We've tried getting it fixed several times, but the fixes just break off. We're going to have to get him an implant. As he's getting older, his teeth are getting more brittle. It's just that implants cost as much as a damned used car. You can tell that it has kind of killed his confidence a little bit. He doesn't smile as much as he used to. It absolutely blows. Pur people. There's a real disdain towards poor people, like they should magically be able to make more money. For lots of people, they have disadvantages that make that more difficult: lack of education or support, lack of time, illness or disability, or even just being stuck in a never-ending cycle and having to time money ability to get themselves out. For some others, they prioritize other parts of life over money, and there's nothing wrong with making that choice for yourself. Socially inept people can be due to disorders or simply due to awkwardness. If you can't play the game and act normal, sooner or later you will be made to pay for it. Sooner than later, probably. That's why I keep my job where I don't need to associate with people 95% of the time. Machinist. People with invisible disabilities. I'm visually impaired, and trying to explain to people that not every blind, partially sighted person looks like a cartoon stereotype is infuriating and exhausting. Have a friend that LARPed, and at one point played a blind beggar. Someone was overheard saying he didn't play a blind guy very well. They had to wait out all of us laughing at him to find out that the guy is actually blind. I have BPD and have suffered from depression for over 20 years. I've been applying for jobs lately where it asks for disability declaration and specifically mentions mental illness, and I still have a hard time selecting it for fear of not being believed or it costing me the job. People dealing with chronic pain. Especially if the pain is being caused by something invisible, and you look perfectly fine from an outside perspective. This made me laugh since I'm currently admitted to the hospital for unknown stomach issues, and the DRS are questioning an IBD like Crohn's or similar, and the people at my job have been getting annoyed with my getting sick and calling out, leaving early, or just being plain miserable when I do manage to stick through a full shift. She's just faking, lying, exaggerating. She just doesn't want to work, etc. It's like, no bitch, I have bills to pay and I would much rather work than be dealing with debilitating stomach pain and other symptoms. Fat people. I've been fat and I've been skinny, and the difference in how people treat you is astounding. I said this too. I've been both also. I lost weight and didn't understand why suddenly everyone smiled at me. People started to bend over backwards to help me with things, greeted me more, gave me more genuine conversation even, and yes, genuine respect. I slowly started to realize why. I am and always have been the same person, but I know who others terribly are now. People with schizophrenia. My grandma was a licensed therapist, and she loved them. It broke her heart to always see them painted in a bad light on the news. As someone with a form of schizophrenia, it's one of the most misunderstood mental illnesses out there. It's so hard to tell people you have this illness without the fear of being painted as a monster for something you have no control over. It sucks to be feared for this disorder when the reality is we are much more likely to be the victims than the perpetrator, yet we are still portrayed as monsters by society. The worst of it is the fact that mental illness, in general, is shamed so hard that there is next to no healthcare plans attached to it. So many people with mental health problems tend to either suffer in silence, or can't control enough to be functional, leading to impatient, uncaring, and unsympathetic people kicking them out of jobs and homes. The homeless. I second this. Even if they, as in a specific person, not the entire population, are on drugs, I don't understand why that negates any feeling of sympathy for people, because a lot of the time I talk of homeless, people make snide remarks about how they're all on drugs, and they put themselves in that situation, blah blah blah. I don't know, man. Even if that was true for everyone, which it clearly isn't, they still don't have anywhere to live, can't get a job because they don't have a home address. The government is doing everything they can to say, fuck you, to them, etc., etc. I'd shit if I was in a helpless situation like that, with no support from family, because a lot of them don't have families, or don't have families that support them. I would do drugs too. I'm not saying all homeless are good people, but not all of them are bad. They're just people, down on their luck, and it sucks that humanity doesn't care more. I got in a car accident. It was the other driver's fault, but she still got hospital treatment. I still felt bad that she has such horrendous injuries. So why, even if it is their fault, do we as a society not care about homeless people? There's a high number of homeless people who are veterans that got lied to and fucked over. Anyone who says they all put themselves in that situation can fuck themselves. And that's just one part of it. Even more is just people that got dealt a bad hand in life. People in unskilled positions. Sure, a burger flipper or custodian doesn't need a college degree, but unskilled, not hard work. Having to prepare so much food in little time, deal with rude customers, and cleaning up stuff. The number of stories of people smearing poop on the walls. The stuff these people go through, people should feel sympathy. Skilled tradespeople get no respect, and they deserve all the respect. We freaking need auto mechanics and plumbers. Without them, the world doesn't run, period, full stop. Ugly people 100%. I had a hard time sympathizing with people who suffer from severe anxiety. My attitude was always, just deal with it, stress is temporary. Last summer there was a series of events that triggered unprecedented anxiety for me. I didn't eat for days at a time, barely slept, and could barely function at work. It was absolutely debilitating and felt completely uncontrollable. A week on vacation helped, but it came back as soon as I got home. So I went to my doctor and he prescribed a few meds, which helped a lot. Now I understand that kind of crippling anxiety, and I'm a lot more sympathetic to those who struggle to manage it. I have struggled with anxiety, and I still get annoyed with others' anxiety sometimes. Depressed or sad people. It's a nightmare. You are just asking for attention. My mom when I called her to tell her I was depressed. You don't look depressed. Well, thanks, I am very good at faking happiness because nobody takes me seriously anyway. Medication is just a crutch, you should see ex-life coach. They'll fix you. Yes, let's stop all medication because you said so. My mom. How can you be depressed? You have a house, husband, job and child. If you are depressed, what should I be? I mean, you at least had a mother growing up. Or when I talk about the shitty things that happened in my youth. You make it sound like nothing good happened to you in your youth. All you remember are the bad things. Your father used to do X and Y with you. When I was less than 7, I grew up with stepmothers and had to blah 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 blah. Long story about how her youth was worse and how I can't be depressed about something because she had it worse. Oh, and recently she came with a great one. I don't understand people that have PTSD. I mean, you choose to have PTSD if you keep wallowing in your own self-despair. I don't have PTSD because I chose not to. People who made some bad choices in the past and are trying to better their lives. Depends on the severity and nature of those bad choices. Which is true, some things aren't forgivable, but I'm mostly talking about smaller things like drug abuse or bad friends. Ugly people. Just cause someone is less attractive doesn't mean you have to treat them like dirt. I noticed this massively in my workplace. I'm a not so good looking guy, very tall and overweight, lazy eye, glasses etc., and I can't get away with half the shit people I work with do. Like I wear the wrong color shoes, I get called out. My jeans are the wrong shade of blue, I get called out. You converse for a second with a coworker and you get separated onto different tasks. Yet the much better looking guys and gals I work with never hear a word of it when they've been wearing completely wrong footwear and any jeans or even joggers for years at this point. And they can spend hours talking and going to get coffee together in the middle of shifts and no one says a word. And you just don't get the social interaction and niceties they get. You get why they do it, obviously, because as a kid you notice these things very early on, but it still sucks. People with lung cancer or type 2 diabetes. The "you did this to yourself" attitude. My best friend's brother has stage 4 lung cancer that he got from toxic chemicals he was exposed to during military service. He was serving his country, and people still assume, you did it to yourself. And even if people did get it from smoking, peer pressure when you're a teen is hard to fight. So is nicotine addiction. I have thyroid cancer, and everything tells me that same. You did this to yourself. Bullshit, even though it runs in my family, so there wasn't really anything that I could do to avoid it. The extremely socially awkward among us. My younger brother has diagnosed OCD and autism, 0 friends, and has never been kissed or dated in even the most elementary type way. He's almost 25 now. The world has not been kind to him throughout all this, and it breaks my heart. The elderly. Elder abuse is rampant. As a kid, I visited my grandparents in assisted living facilities several times a week. These were dementia wards where no one knew who anyone was, no one knew where they were or why they were there. Easily 90% of the time, we were the only family there. No one visited their crazy parents because it was scary and depressing. It's really fueled my wish to study dementia and work with people who have it. Often they have no one to look out for them. What kind of people often get treated with less sympathy? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.